Hey everybody, and welcome back to Mike's Hard Takes. I know it's been a minute, but we're back. It's NFL season and predictions week is here, so let's get into it. All right, so we're gonna go with the easiest one first. We're gonna go with the AFC East. Number one, I have the Bills. Losses this season, I have the Jets, at the Falcons, at the Panthers, the Chiefs, at the Texans, and at the Patriots. So I have them finishing 11-6. I think the offense is going to have to carry the defense a lot this season, but I feel kind of a Chiefs-esque sleepwalk through the season and ramp up come playoff time when it comes to the Bills this season. I expect a really big season from Josh Allen. James Cook, now that he's back in the building, should get some good work, and the offense should pick up where they left off last season. So we'll move on from them. The Patriots are one of my favorite teams this season. I expect a 10-7 season. That's what I predicted this year, with losses to the Raiders, at the Dolphins, at the Bills, at the Bengals, the Giants, at the Ravens, and at the Jets. I think they had probably the best draft this season. Getting Travion Henderson was a steal. I also love the pick of Kyle Williams at receiver, so we'll see if that pays dividends. I think Drake May is a great building block to build around, and I think just having Mike Vrabel will instantly switch the culture back to what it has been there for 20 years, and kind of just that badass mentality that he brings with him. Having one of the best offensive coordinators of all time come back, and Josh McDaniels should also really benefit this offense and Drake May and kind of bring it out of the gutter a little bit, give a little bit more scoring power, a little bit more pop this season to kind of complement the defense. So I have them going 10-7, and then we'll see kind of where the playoffs shake out from there. But I do have them with 10 wins this year. Moving on to the Jets. I really like a lot of what the Jets have done. Like, the Jets have made a lot of shrewd moves. They're sneaky talented, and I really like Justin Fields. I want Justin Fields to be a great quarterback. I don't think that it's there, but we'll see what happens. This is the first time having an offense really tailored to him, so we shall see. I have losses at the Buccaneers, at the Dolphins, Cowboys, Browns, at the Patriots, at the Ravens, Falcons, at the Jags, and at the Bills. So a good 9-8 season. 8-9 season. My apologies for the Jets. I really do think that it's just one of those seasons that where they improve, even if the record doesn't necessarily indicate that it's a great improvement, if that makes sense. And then the Dolphins. I expect the Dolphins to be one of the worst teams in the NFL this year. I just think the vibes out of there have just been awful. Jalen Ramsey couldn't wait to get out of there. I feel like Tyreek Hill sneakily can't wait to get out of there. Beefing with Tua. Tua is a good quarterback when healthy, but the health is always a concern, and the offensive line doesn't make that very easy on them. And I really like Mike McDaniel. I think he would be one of the best top 3 offensive coordinators in the league. I just don't know if he brings that toughness to the team that is necessary in order to win big, especially once the cold weather gets there. I love the Minkah Fitzpatrick trade. I don't get why the Steelers did that, to be honest, but I really like it for the Dolphins aspect, bringing in a leader on that defense and one of the best safeties in the game. And I like the running back room in Jalen Waddle. So I think they could put up points early in the season, but kind of as the season moves on a little bit, kind of tail off. I only have them winning 4 games, and that's with the Patriots and Jets at home, and then at the Browns, and then a win against the Bengals. So I only have one playoff team out of this division. That is the Bills. Patriots, when I picked all 272 games, they lost the tiebreakers to the team ended up being number 7. So for that reason, they missed the playoffs on a tiebreaker, but they do win 10 games. Jets finishing 8-9, and then Dolphins 4-13. All right, moving on to the AFC South. I don't think it's any surprise here. I do have the Texans winning the division, and I have the Texans having a great season. I think C.J. Stroud kind of comes back this year after a mini sophomore slump. Any season that results in a playoff win but is underachieving and it's called a sophomore slump. I'll take that all day. I expect him to bounce back. I expect them to have the best defense in the league this season. Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter coming off the edge is scary with Azeez Al-Shari in the middle of that. And then for my money, the best corner in the game, Derek Stealing Jr. on the outside. I expect that defense to be lights out, and then the combination of C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins to kind of make headway on offense. So their losses this year, I have them losing to the Buccaneers, the Broncos, at the Chiefs, and the Raiders. So finishing 13-4. And then one of my sneaky surprise teams of the year comes in the Titans. I think the Titans are going to be a lot better than some people are giving them credit for. I think a lot of this comes into, I think Cam Ward will be Offensive Rookie of the Year, and I really like their draft. I love how they got Restrepo as a restricted undrafted free agent. I love the Gunnar Helm pick, and I think that they're going to sneak up on some people. They already had a great defense last season, so just kind of building on that defensive momentum and kind of that infusion of energy that Cam Ward will bring. I like the addition of Tyler Lockett as well. I think there's a mature presence in a receiver room that we're a team that needs it. I don't know how I feel about Brian Callahan, but we shall see. Their wins, I have them winning at the Broncos versus the Colts, at the Cardinals, at the Colts, Jaguars, at the Browns, at the Niners, and the Saints. So it should be setting up for a sneaky good season from the Titans for them to shock some people. I don't think they'll make the playoffs or anything, but still a good season. And then moving on, we go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I have them having a little bit of a down year. I don't know how much I believe in Liam Cohen after that Duval press conference. And Trevor Lawrence has made it very clear that he likes football, but I don't know if he loves football enough to do the things necessary in order to be great at it. A lot of people love the Travis Hunter pick, and I like it, but I think there's a lot to give up for a skill player, especially. I would prefer him play one side of the ball and be great at it, but it seems like they're pretty set on him playing both sides, and I don't know how long he can be effective playing both sides and how great he can be playing both sides. I feel like that's stretching himself a little thin. So for that reason, I only have them with 6 wins here. I have them winning against the Seahawks, at the Cardinals, the Colts, the Jets, at the Colts, and the Titans. And then a lot of people, like, this didn't make a lot of sense to me when I saw it, but some people are calling the Colts a sneaky good team this year. And I'm going to be honest, I just don't see it. I think a big part of that is when you have such dysfunction at the quarterback position, because there's a lot to like here. I like the receivers. I like the coach. I like the GM. But at the end of the day, when you have Daniel Jones winning a QB competition and Anthony Richardson is still struggling with the fundamentals of the position, I think that calls into question how good the team can actually be this season. So for that reason, I only have them winning 2 games, and that's going to be versus the Dolphins and at the Steelers. But moving on from what a lot of people will consider probably the worst division in football, we're going to talk about what I think is by far the best division in football, and that is the AFC West. So I have let's dive in. Who I have winning the division, I definitely have the Chiefs winning the division. I'm just going to pick against Mahomes to win that division until he doesn't do it. I think they actually got better this season. I think the return of Rashee Rice, whenever that suspension happens and how long it is, so on and so forth, along with the emergence of Xavier Worthy and a healthy Hollywood Brown, should be a pretty dynamic receiving core for Mahomes to bring back, as they call it, the light show and score some dynamic points down the field. I think Travis Kelce is poised for a bounce back season as well, and I love the Josh Simmons pick at left tackle to kind of stabilize that position. Isaiah Pacheco should be healthy this season after having a broken leg last year, so that should really come in handy for what I think will be an improved offensive line. The D-line is very good as well, and they have one of the best corners in the league in Trent McDuffie, so I expect a good season on defense as well. If maybe a step back, but still a very good unit. That'll be in the top half of the league. I have their losses being versus the Eagles, the Lions, the Commanders, the Broncos, and at the Raiders. So I have them finishing 12-5 with only one loss on the road. So I think they're going to be a pretty dynamic road team with a little bit kind of trying to avoid that Super Bowl hangover. So then we're going to go to who I have finished second in the division, and that is going to be, I have the Chargers at 10-7 this year. I think losing Rashawn Slater is a gut punch, but I think Jim Harbaugh coaches resilient teams, and I think they will be resilient and bounce back. I think Keenan Allen is a sneaky, really good pickup for them to complement Lab McConkey. And if Johnston can ever put it together with his hands, he could be a dynamic receiver as well. I love the Omarion Hampton pick here. I think that he's going to be dynamic in the Rookie of the Year race. He's not as far behind Ashton Jeanty in the talent department as you might think. Very dynamic player there. And then Najee Harris, if he returns from his fireworks accident, could be a good number 2 running back to complement Hampton. With that being said, I have them going 10-7 with losses to the Chiefs, at the Raiders, at the Giants, the Eagles, at the Chiefs, at the Cowboys, and the Texans. And then we go to the Broncos. I also have them finishing 10-7 as well. When I went through and picked every single game of the NFL season, it gave the Chargers the tiebreaker over the Broncos, so that's why they finished ahead of them in the standings. But everybody loves them this offseason, and I'm always a little wary when every single person loves a team. So that kind of gives me just a little superstitious pause, but I can't help but love them too. I like Bo Nix. I think he's very underrated. I think he's a good quarterback. I love the RJ Harvey pick, and I think while their receiving group isn't dynamic or top 10 in the league, I think they're a really good core that can make things happen and a good O-line. But that defense will be in the running with the Texans for the best unit in the game. They have for my money, the second best corner in the league, and Patrick Surtain out there, and then Nick Bonito and the crew can just get after the quarterback at will. I love Sean Payton as a coach. He brings that fire with him every day, so the Broncos should be playing with a chip on their shoulder, especially after their season ended pretty badly in Buffalo last year. So I have their losses being to the Titans, at the Chargers, at the Eagles, at the Jets, the Chiefs, the Packers, and the Chargers. So I have them finishing 10-7 as well. And then this one might surprise you. The Raiders. If you paid attention to what I've been writing in the last podcast that I had, I think the Raiders are going to be a much improved team this year. I get it that defense could be really bad, but I'm a firm believer that replacing Aiden O'Connell and Antonio Pierce with Geno Smith and Pete Carroll automatically makes you go from one of the worst teams in the league to an average team. And on top of that, having dynamic weapons like Brock Bowers, who I think after this season could be the best tight end in the league, along with getting Ashton Jeanty and a decent O-line, could propel them to a possible 10 wins in this best case. I think I do have them with the best case scenario that they could have this season, so I'm pretty bullish on them. I think they're going 10-7 as well. So I have their losses being to the Bears, at the Chiefs, at the Broncos, the Cowboys, at the Chargers, Broncos, and at the Giants. So 10-7 for the Raiders right there. A little ambitious, but I think they can get there. This off is going to be the AFC North. The Ravens have dominated this division, winning it over the last few years, and I don't see that changing. However, I do see it to be a more competitive race this year. So I think the Ravens, while everybody says they have one of the best rosters in the league, I feel like they are pretty underwhelming and leave a lot to be desired at the receiver position. Zay Flowers is good, yes, but Rashad Bateman has shown that he's a number 3 receiver on a great team. And how much does D-Hop have left in the tank at this point? We saw what the end of the season looked like for him last year, and the results weren't that good. And do we expect Derrick Henry, after having a heavy workload last year and aging another year on this planet, that he is going to be able to duplicate last season's results at running back? I have no worries about Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar is going to be dynamic. I think that defense is going to be pretty awesome as well. However, in the weapons department, I feel like they're lacking And so I think that could hold them back a little bit this year, especially after Isaiah Likely's injury in the preseason and Mark Andrews continuing to age a little bit and decline. So I have them finishing 11-6. I do have their losses being at the Bills, at the Chiefs, the Texans, the Rams, at the Bengals, and at the Steelers. So really good year, if not maybe a little step back. This next one, the rest of this division might be a little controversial, but I do have the Bengals finishing second. I have them actually tying in the record, but just losing the tiebreaker. I have them going 11-6 as well. I think this could be the best offense in the league. I think Joe Burrow is poised for another great year. I think they might have the best receiving corps in the league. Actually, I don't think. I know they do. Jamar Chase, for my money, the best receiver in the league. The best number 2 in the league in T. Higgins. And then I love Yoshivash in the slot. I think he's a really good player as well, with Jasicki in the tight end. And then Chase Brown, Samaje P. Ryan, and Taj Brooks in the backfield. I think that is going to be a dynamic offense. I think you're going to be able to score at will. And then I don't think the defense will be the worst in the league again. I think if they can just be bumped from whoever their rank was last year to the 18th, 19th, 20th best defense in the league, I think that they could have a really good year. I love Shamar Stewart pick out of the draft. I think he has a lot of raw tools to work with. Trey Hendrickson situation is a little nutty. We'll see what happens there. I think just having a new voice in that defensive coordinator room could bump them up ever so slightly to kind of be a little bit more competitive. Excuse me. So I have their losses being at the Broncos versus the Jets, at the Steelers, at the Ravens, at the Bills, and at the Dolphins. And then we come to the Steelers. If you've kind of paid attention to what I've been writing and what I've said in previous podcasts, I'm just not feeling the Steelers this year. I think that this has kind of been a boat that, while it has made their destination every year, has had to pedal a little harder to get up that stream. I just think maybe this is the year that current kind of takes them a little bit. I think while Mike Tomlin is a Hall of Fame coach and the Steelers are one of the best organizations in the league, I feel as though that it's kind of just time for two great people to just kind of end that relationship. I think it's best for everybody. I think everybody kind of benefits from that. I think Mike Tomlin, with a new start, could really start competing for Super Bowls again. I think the Steelers could use a little revamped approach in their locker room. Aaron Rodgers is not who he used to be, and quarterbacks in their 40s don't tend to get better or more mobile. The O-line is suspect, so we'll see what that combination of O quarterback and meh O-line does. I love DK Metcalf. We'll see how that pays off. And Roman Wilson could be a sneaky option at wide receiver number 2. However, that's kind of where it ends. I think the defense just gets another year older. I think trading Minkah Fitzpatrick for Jalen Ramsey makes no sense. I think you're trading one of the best leaders on the team, and he's also younger and a better player right now, for a more expensive option at corner who is less of a leader, more of a me player. And in the latter years of his career, I just don't see that making very much sense for them. I think that defense got worse. And then TJ Watt has kind of started to battle injuries as he's gotten older. So I do see this being the year that Mike Tomlin does have a losing record, and I don't see it really being that close. Watch now that we're all saying this, he's probably going to win 9-10 games again. But I have them going 5-12 with their wins being versus the Browns, versus the Bengals, versus the Dolphins, at the Browns, and the Ravens. So down year in Pittsburgh, but I think a down year here could be exactly what everybody needs to kind of finally move on and start progressing to the next stages of everybody's careers. And then coming in last in the division, I do have the Browns. Surprise, surprise, they're one of the most dysfunctional teams in professional sports. They just continue to get in their own way. While the receiving core is okay, I don't see a lot of difference makers there. David Njoku is a really good tight end, but also injury prone as well. I feel like Myles Garrett is this generation's Joe Thomas, all-time legend, great Hall of Fame player who is never going to have success because he stays in Cleveland. But I get it. If they offered me upwards of $40 million, I wouldn't say no either, and I would move to Cleveland tomorrow. So I 1,000,000% get it. I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze at quarterback. I think all 4 of your options are bad, and I think it's going to lead to a 1-win season, with that 1 win being at the Jets. So there you have it. There is my AFC season predictions. As far as the playoffs go, I have number 1 seed, the Houston Texans, 13-4. Number 2 seed, the Kansas City Chiefs at 12-5. Number 3 seed, the Bills at 11-6. And then the 4 seed, the Ravens at 11-6. And then we go to the wild card. The 5 seed being the Bengals at 11-6. The 6 seed being the Chargers at 10-7, and the 7 seed being the Broncos at 10-7. So if that bracket were to hold, very interesting playoff matches in the wild card round right there. Just missing it, I had the Patriots and the Raiders both just missing the playoffs, both having 10-7 records as well. Just losing the tiebreakers necessary in order to make it. So we shall see what happens. That's the AFC predictions. NFC predictions are out next week, and you can kind of see the division by division predictions at mikeshardtakes.com. You can follow us on the socials at Mike's Hard Takes as well. Give us a like, give us a review. Love to hear back from you guys. See y'all next week.